Hi, my name is Oscar-l-Olvera-astivia, or you can just call me Oscar. I'm an associate professor at the Measurement and Statistics program here in the College of Education at the University of Washington. I found my way into this field somewhat indirectly, like so many other students and professors are. Like I was studying actuarial sciences, and as I was preparing to finalize my degree, it became very apparent to me that this was not exactly the kind of place where I would envision a career for myself. And as I started inquiring with my professors and whatnot, what other options existed that were similar to these, but like a little bit more, social sciences, a little bit more on the softer side of the sciences, they introduced me to the ideas of psychometrics, quantitative psychology, educational measurement, and fast forward a few years, and here I am. In my program of research, I take three different strands. The first one, I am very interested in something that are called computer simulations. This is, in broad strokes, like the technique that we use to create little virtual worlds and start asking ourselves, what if scenarios? What if this happened? What if that happened? Like, we understand that a computer cannot mimic reality exactly, but it can help us make some very good educated guesses as far as where we might be going with some of the research questions that we have. A different strand of my research that I find quite fascinating is working with data that when you plot it doesn't look like a bell shape. We refer to this shape as the normal distribution. This is a very common assumption that we do in our data, but as it turns out, when you start working with data as many years as I have, you'll notice that most of the time the data do not behave that way. And if the data do not behave, or when you plot it doesn't look like that way, issues may arise, or maybe not, right? The question is, we don't know though. And because we don't know, we need to do research in order to be able to address this more precisely. And last but not least, I am very passionate about things like the sociology or the history of my field. I'm very interested in why do we do the things that we do? Why do we analyze data this way? Why do we use these statistics as opposed to these other ones? Like, what's the socio-historical context that gave rise to use this method as opposed to that other method? I realize that it is not as directly applicable as perhaps some of the other research that I'm doing, other people are doing, but I'm a big believer that for us to be able to understand our field, we need to understand the socio-cultural and historical context in which the field was developed. I'm looking for somebody who's got a pretty firm grounding on the social science, the psychology, the education side of things, as well as on the technical aspects of our field, like the mathematics, the probability, the computer science, the computer coding, and whatnot. These kind of programs are particularly unique in the sense that we need somebody who can straddle both worlds, and that is not the easiest thing to find usually. But if you happen to be somebody who's just as interested in the statistics or the math side of things as in the psychology or the education side of things, I think that you and I are going to have like a great time. I'm always curious about people who are deep thinkers. People who are always asking themselves, why do we do this? Like, what's the purpose of this? Why is my favorite question. So hopefully somebody who would be a why person would enjoy working with me. Thank you very much for watching my video and for listening to me. We're very excited about the possibility of you joining the program. Please reach out if you happen to have any questions, and good luck.